All right, welcome back to section 5. This will be the second video within this section. I explained the design of the stock price watcher that we are going to be writing in the last video, so if you missed that, go ahead and check it out. But we are going to jump right into it. So import requests, obviously we're going to need that. From BS4, import beautiful soup as BS. And import Psycho PG2 as PSQL. So we are going to have a dbconnect function, so def dbconnect, and we're going to be running off of a config file more than likely there. That's probably the easiest way to do it. It's the way that we did it last time, and I can also copy paste the config. So we're going to do it that way. And we're going to actually read that in our dbconnect function. So open config file connect using that data. So return empty there. And we will have an insert db, and a con cursor object there. Return. We will have, let's see, our page pull, kind of like before, and we'll have the ticker, probably all we really need there, return, and we'll have our main. Turn there. So if, I always forget the boilerplate. I've been writing Python for like forever now, and I still forget the boilerplate code. Name equals, I remember like the basics of it, I just never remember like the order of name and main. It's like the dumbest thing ever, and it's because I haven't taken the time to understand exactly what this all really means. Like I understand what it means, but obviously my brain hasn't really like functioned through it. Anyways, boilerplate stuff. All of our skeleton code is written. Now we just need to actually fill it in. So we're going to start with our main. So we're going to do a try except here. So our try is going to be, we're going to pull in 3 pieces of information. We're going to have the ticker, then the high, and then the low. Well, let's just do low and then high, just because I'll remember that better. High. So the ticker is equal to sys.argv1. The low is equal to sys.argv2. And the high is equal to sys.argv3. I bet I didn't import sys here. Nope, sure did. So let's import system. So that is in our try block, our except. We're going to actually print out, well, I've already got except there. We're going to actually print out a proper usage helper here. Usage. And that is going to be sys.argv0, because we'll always have a 0. Then the low, well, no, then the ticker, then the low price, and then the high price. All right, we're not going to give anything else more helpful than that. Return 1. All right. Then this will return 0, but we'll never actually hit that because we'll be running in an endless loop. So we're actually about to jump into that endless loop. Our con and cur are what we need next, our connection and cursor objects that we're getting from the dbconnect function. So con cur is equal to dbconnect. Help if I pressed enter. There we go. So that's what we need for our database connection. We've got our ticker, our low, and our high. Now we really just enter our loop. So while true, price is equal to, we named it page pull with the ticker. If price is greater than high, well, we need to convert this to an integer because it's going to at first be a string, I believe. High, then we're going to print the ticker has exceeded the high price then a dollar sign, and our price. LF price below and at low. Then we'll print price, well, ticker. We'll keep it all the same format. Ticker. Wish this would disappear. There we go. Has gone below low price at this price. And else continue. So we don't want to print anything. So here's the issue. And I've actually recorded this episode 2 or 3 times now. Problem is I keep doing it in after hours when the stock markets are closed, which means that we're not actually going to get any live data here. It's just going to be the same price. Since the stock market is closed, that price isn't going to fluctuate at all. So we're not actually going to get much useful information here unless we print stock price has stayed the same. And then we are going to sleep. Time.sleep. And we're going to do it for 3 seconds. And there's our time. We actually want to insert it into our DB here. So insert DB. We're going to pass the ticker, the price, and we'll get the time within the insert DB method. So that means that we also want date time. Now, we've got a couple of things to fill in here. We've got our DB connect. That's fairly easy. So let's do config is equal to open config.txt. I'll drag that over here in a second to make sure that we close it. Config.close. And we want the lines from our config. Lines is equal to config.readLines. So then we close it. Our IP is going to be the first line. So lines at 0. Make sure that we strip it to make sure that we don't get any new lines or anything nasty like that. And then, let's see, we'll get our DB name is equal to lines at 1, strip. We will get our username, lines at 2, strip. And we'll get our password, lines at 3, strip. So all we're doing here is reading all of these lines out of our config.txt file, which I'm about to drag over right now. So drag that over, create a new file, save that as config.txt. All right, so our config file is saved. Nothing very interesting here at all, because why would it be? So then we're going to actually run our connection. Very, very simple. So con is equal to psql.connect. We've got our database is equal to DB name. Our user is equal to our username. Our password is equal to, you guessed it, our password. And our host is equal to our IP. And I'm going to explicitly set our port to 5432, which is the default. Probably don't need to include this, but I'm doing it anyways. We are going to do con.set_session. Auto commit equals true. That is basically saying that anytime I execute a query, I don't want to have to explicitly commit it every single time, like run the commit method. So instead, I'm going to set it to auto commit every time I execute a query that would run a write against that database. I explained that in the second to the last video of section 4, I believe. So if you're confused, go check it out there. It's because I don't understand databases well enough to do that correctly. Then our cursor is equal to con.cursor. And just like we have in the past, we're going to run an initial query to make sure that the table that we're going to be writing to exists. So we're going to do create table, if not exists. And this is going to be stock_data. we are going to have a timestamp, which is going to be our unique identifier. That is going to be text, not null, primary key, which means that it needs to be unique every time. That shouldn't be a problem because we're going to be grabbing the timestamp in milliseconds, I believe. So we shouldn't have any issue creating a unique ID with a timestamp using milliseconds. Then we're going to have link text, not link, ticker. Text, not null, and price. I think that's supposed to be float, not null. Okay, so this is actually supposed to be, actually pulled it up. So float 8. I believe that's how you're supposed to do it. Yeah. So float 8. That's what we're looking for. So that is a float with 8 bits of precision. We actually only need 2, now that I think. Well, no, let's just do it as 8 and we'll correct it later on. Okay. So we're going to execute that initial query, and we're not going to worry at all what the result is. We're going to just go ahead and return the connection and the cursor objects. So that should be all we need to do with our initial connect. On our insert, very, very easy. Our query is equal to insert into stock underscore data. We're doing our timestamp, I believe is what I called it. Let me make sure I get that right. Our timestamp, our ticker, and our price. That's going to be values, %s, %s, %s. So, we actually need to pull those in. So, ticker and price. So, concur to ticker and price. I don't think I did that correctly down here. Yeah, so concur, ticker, and price. All right, and that should be fairly easy. All we really need is a timestamp. So timestamp is equal to datetime.now, I believe is how you grab the timestamp. And we're going to just insert that information into the database very simply with cur.execute. We're going to execute the query with the following values. It's going to be the timestamp, the ticker, and the price. Very, very simply, we're just going to throw all of this information into the database as is, and it's really all we need to do. We can just kind of return nothing there. And our page pull is going to be the actually interesting part, except it's something that we wrote like ages ago. We're going to do it again just because, I don't know, it's interesting. And it's been a while. I think we worked on stock price stuff in like section 2 or 3. So if you haven't seen that section already, it does contain like essentially the same thing that we're doing here, but we're going to build a ton of different cool stuff into this version of it as opposed to the very simplistic version that we built in section 2 or 3, one of the two. I want to say it's section 3 because we covered legality and ethics in section 2. So I think section 3 is when we actually started writing code. Anyways, our page pull. Let's go to Yahoo Finance. So finance.yahoo.com. We're going to use Apple as our example, AAPL. And if we look up here at the URL, it's fairly easy to build a URL with any stock ticker that we want. Let's pull this over here. So page link is equal to that. We're just going to pull out AAPL and instead append our ticker. So if we just grab this part, just to kind of double check, make sure that we're doing this correctly, we copy and paste this in, and we insert AAPL. Don't know what that notification was. If we insert AAPL here, we should get back to the Apple page. We do. All right, so that is going to be our page link. We are going to pull that down with request. So res is equal to requests.get, stuff that we've done 1,000 times, page link. And we are interested in the .text for beautiful soup. So soup is equal to BS, which is how we imported it up here. We're going to use res.text, which is the raw text of the HTML page that we're pulling down there, and we are going to use the HTML parser. Basically all stuff that we've done already before. Now, we are going to have to pull out the price. Just to make sure that we are in fact returning it, we're going to do this. And let's find out how we're going to extract the price. So just like always, inspect is your best friend. Right click, click inspect. And as we saw before, it's not going to be just unbelievably easy for us. We want to grab the data-react ID span with these particular classes. And I'm not even sure that we necessarily want to do that. Let's just grab the data-react ID 49 and let's see how many results we get if we grab all of the pieces of information on that page with that data-react ID 49. The reason there is, even though it's got ID within the attribute, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's unique. So we want to check to see if it is in fact unique. So let's call it 49s. 49s is equal to soup.find all. We're going to grab spans with attributes equal to data-react ID set to 49. And that is the integer 49, and not the string. No, that's a string 49. So make sure that it's the string 49 that we're setting it equal to. And let's just go ahead and print the length of that. Length of 49s. And let's see if this is going to be a realistic way, a good way, essentially, of extracting this data from the page. So let's go ahead and run it. No, we don't want to debug. We want to run without debugging. And no module named BS4. So that's not right. So let's clear for good luck. Run python./s5_p2.py. And let's do AAPL. Real price is 148.96, so let's just do 148.00 and 150.00. Invalid literal for int with base 10. Okay, so we need to change that to a float, actually, in line 67. So let's change this over to float. And also change this over to float. And run that. Not supported between instances of string and float. So we're actually getting our return here. We're getting 4 different pieces of information on the page that pertain to that data-react ID 49. So not a great result. We want just one. So let's see if we can pull out this class information, or if we can go above it and get any information that may indicate that that is the actual information that we want. So we've got the quote header info. That's probably what we want right there. So let's take advantage of the beauty of Beautiful Soup in that it allows us essentially to pull children from nested items within HTML pages. So we've got our quote div is equal to soup.find, and this has got an ID, so we know that it's going to be unique. That ID is quote-header-info. So that is all divs with the ID of quote-header-info. And that is our parent object. And then we want to grab the first object. So hopefully price is equal to quote_div.find. find the first span whose attributes is equal to data-react ID and 49. Now let's change this to find all and change this to prices just because that's going to bother me. And we're going to test to see how many of these objects we have now that we've narrowed it down. Now, instead of searching just for the data-react ID equals 49, which is supposed to be a string, we are searching for the spans whose attribute data-react ID equals the string 49 that is a child of this quote-header-info div. So basically, we're going to search for this div first, and then we're going to search within this div to find an item whose data-react ID is equal to 49. Now let's hope that instead of 4, we just get one piece of information. So we're still going to get the same error, but we can look above it, and we see 1. So we have found something that is actually useful for us. It's unique. So let's test this on a couple more stocks. So let's do Tesla, make sure that we get 1 there, and let's do Microsoft just to be sure. So we're getting the same error. So actually Microsoft didn't work, which is very interesting. I wonder if it's because Microsoft was in the positive. No, it was in the negative as well. So we are looking for the quote-header. So this is quote-header proxy, which is interesting. Let's see if maybe quote-header-info is a better one. Well, that's actually what we were pulling out. Yeah, so it's got quote-header-info, and then it looks for data-react ID 49. Should be within here. So we're looking for a span somewhere in here. Should be within this div, and then this div, and data-react ID equals 49. That's weird. It doesn't work on Microsoft. Let's try it again. Yep, same thing. Huh. It's still a span. It's still looking for data-react ID equals 49. And it's still supposed to be a child of that quote-header-info object, or div, which is right here. Quote-header-info. Huh. I honestly could not tell you why it doesn't work for Microsoft. APL works fine. Microsoft, Tesla, we've tried. S works for that. Crowd. So it's literally just Microsoft. I have absolutely no idea why that doesn't work. So let's just hope you're not trying to watch Microsoft's price point. So we're going to wrap all of this in a try except. And if it doesn't work, then we're just going to return 0. Or we're just going to set price equal to 0. All right, so here, we're just going to set price equal to prices 0. So we're going to take the one item that should be in there. That's going to be what actually throws the error. So that's going to send us to our except if we have a weird case like Microsoft. And then we are looking for the text within that span. So that should return the price. So let's just do print price. And let's make sure that works. So we should get our price there of $269.17 for crowd. APL. We'll get $148.96, and Microsoft should throw an error for whatever reason. Microsoft, yeah, just straight up doesn't work. Weird, but whatever. Print, for some reason, not able to get the price for, and we'll do ticker, because I believe ticker's passed in. Yeah, it is. So ticker's passed in there. All right, so this will return the price. And here we just need to convert the price over to a float, which should work regardless of whatever price we end up returning from that. Float price. All right, so now we should successfully be working. Yep, there we go. All right, so it's obviously going to be staying the same because, like I said, the market is closed. But if instead we change this to something like 140, or let's change the low to 150, so it will trigger it. Change this high to 152, and then it's going to tell us that Apple has gone below. Obviously, it hasn't. We just set our low value too high. But yeah, it's going to start inserting stuff into our database as well. So let's go to our database and select from stock data, and we're going to limit to 2. And we've got our timestamp, which is actually a lot more verbose than I expected it to be, our ticker, and our price. So that's going to be what we can actually look at later in like time series analysis and all kinds of fun stuff like that. And that is it for right now. Obviously, we're going to make this way more powerful. That's why we're in section 5. We're going to be making everything more powerful and cooler and funner and awesomer. And we're going to just add tons of cool capabilities to this stock scraper later. For right now, we're going to stop here and we're going to start talking about those more advanced design concepts within the next video. So I will see you in the next video where we start talking about that advanced cool stuff. Thank you so much for watching this far into the class. If you have any opinions on how things should change for this class, let me know in the course reviews if you're on Udemy or in the comments if you're on YouTube. Don't worry as much about the YouTube people because they have a tendency of being incredibly brutal with their feedback. So yeah, thank you so much and take it easy.